So this summer, when I was in the US, at one point I went to a church. And in that church, there was this pastor who then invited me to his house and we had lunch and we talked about life. But I remember that at one point, this pastor or whoever he was like, you know how school taught you this thing called evolution? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that is a lie created by the devil. The world is not 14 billion years old, it's only 6,000 years old. And you know dinosaurs? They did not go extinct because a meteor hit the earth. It was Noah's flood. It was all Noah's flood. And obviously when I hear something like this, I am skeptical and I am like, I need evidence to all this. And he also did refer to like some kind of website where there were scientists that actually proved his statement. Now, I am someone that usually needs like very specific evidence in order to believe in something, but I have to say that I would not be surprised if it turned out that evolution is all a lie. And let me explain why. So when I went to school, science was like my favorite subject, and I was an A student. No, I wasn't, but when I graduated middle school, I had straight A's in all the science classes, so biology, chemistry, and physics. And biology was one of the things that really fascinated me, and I really loved learning about evolution and the human anatomy and the anatomy of animals, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and all of that. And it led to me having some pride within myself that I was an animal that was serving Mother Nature, and my purpose on this earth was to survive and reproduce and carry on my amazing genetics to other animals, and then they would survive and reproduce and carry their amazing genetics, and in this way I would like carry on my legacy. And I felt some self-importance in this. I felt a purpose by existing on this planet. And so I viewed myself as a wild animal that was meant to have a bunch of sex with the opposite gender, and I would reproduce by having a lot of sex and having a lot of children and basically multiplying myself as much as possible, just like all the wild animals do in the nature, you know? And so when I later had trouble attracting women and I saw everyone else having sex, I was confused. I was like, but I am the wild animal. I am the one that is supposed to do those like wild animalistic things, all those like, sorry, I'm not gonna do that or the video they will get taken down. But I am meant to fuck, I am meant to have sex, because I am like this wild animal. I am meant to do those like animalistic activities as having sex. If you may or may not know, I am diagnosed with autism. But I have almost always been in denial about it. I was ashamed of my autism, and I look down on other people with autism, especially guys, because a lot of autistic guys that I saw, they were really awkward and they could not get bitches. Which means that they could not have sex, which means they could not reproduce, which was the very purpose of like us existing on this planet according to Mother Nature. And so even though those people, they might have had value in other things rather than their ability to attract the opposite gender. Maybe they were, for example, exceptionally good at problem solving or something. in my eyes, they still failed the fundamental purpose of Mother Nature. They could not get bitches, and therefore they could not reproduce, and that was still justifiable for me to look down on them. And I always thought to myself, even though I have autism, I am not like them. I am unlike them. I am attractive. I am charismatic. I would easily be able to attract the opposite gender, reproduce, and spread my amazing genetics. I thought the reason why I couldn't get laid was not because of my autism or anything within me, but rather because I was in the wrong environment. It's because Swedish girls failed to realize how amazing I am, but that girls in, for example, America, they would be easily attracted to me. And so then I started this YouTube channel, and I received a lot of comments that I am visibly autistic and not very attractive, apparently. And it made me feel like a failure. It made me realize that perhaps I was not meant to survive and reproduce. And what I guess terrified me even more was when I learned that back in the day, our ancestors, like, when they had children that had like autism or any other like abnormalities, they were literally sent out to the mountains to be killed. They were literally deemed not good enough. And so I realized, I am not supposed to be alive. I should have been carried out to the mountains and killed long ago. I am not good enough. I have officially failed Mother Nature. I was ashamed of myself. People kept saying that, oh, you should base your worth, your self-worth and your self-value on other things than being able to have sex. But for me, the ability to have sex was the only thing that mattered. Not because I'm some judgmental, self-hating monster, but it's because that's simply what I learned in my evolution classes in school. And so I judged and I looked down upon people that had, I don't want to say this word or the video will get taken down, but the word starts with a D and it ends with ability. People that had that, I looked down on them. I deemed those people not good enough because I was like, they are not gonna be able to survive and reproduce. They have failed Mother Nature, so they are not good enough. And I looked down upon them. And so when I later found out that I am one of them, I started looking down upon myself. I started hating myself. I started thinking that maybe the world would be better off without me. And so you might be wondering, how can something as seemingly innocent as learning about evolution in school turn you into such an evil monster that judges other people, as well as yourself, based on simply how many people you're able to sleep with? Well, maybe it's because learning about evolution is not that innocent after all. It is the work of the devil. And you might be saying it's all cope, that saying that evolution is just the work of the devil and it's not true is some way for me to cope with the fact that I am unable to attract the opposite gender or something. But guess what? Sometimes cope is the only way to live a happy and fulfilling life. I think a lot of, like, within Christianity is all about cope in order to live a happy and fulfilling life. Because sometimes you either have a choice between coping or being miserable for the rest of your life. And coping usually is the better option that will make you able to enjoy life more. And all the people outside, like in society, they are gonna be like, oh, that guy's just coping, he's coping so hard, cope harder, bro. But sometimes you should not care what other people say, you should just care about what makes you happy. And so, do I think it's true that evolution is just a lie created by the devil to brainwash all of us? I don't want to say it's true because, like I said, I don't have solid evidence and I don't want to appear like I'm spreading misinformation here, but I will say that I would not be surprised if it turned out to be true.